Let's talk about these monomials.
I don't know, Will. What do I know? I've been a square my whole function life.
Here we have c to the 9th power, parentheses, d to the 5th power, raised to the 6th power divided by c over 5. And so the laws of exponents is asking us to divide. We have the power rule we can use here. So let's go to it. Let's see if you can actually try to do some of this in your head. The c's on the top or the bottom? There's more on the top, so on the top, right? And then what's the difference? Hold that, power rule, and then we're done. So we have c, the difference between 9 and 5 is 4. And then for the d's, we're doing the power rule, which tells us if we're raising an exponent to another exponent, then you multiply. You can multiply that. So that's 30. So that's d to the 30th power. So that was a pretty simple one. I think that we're okay with that. Okay, one more time. We're just raising, using the power rule when we're raising 5 to 6. And getting the difference since we're dividing. Just subtract the exponents if you're dividing, okay? So let's take a look at another one. So here we're just going to do the power rule, okay? We're multiplying our exponents. So for x, we have 7 times 8, 56. For y, we have 2 times 8, 16. And for z, we have 1 times 8, which is 8. That's simple enough. That's just the power rule. If you have exponents raised to a power, you just use the power rule, which says multiply the exponents. Okay? Simple enough. Another one. 32x to the 4th, y to the 7th, over 4x y raised to the 2nd power. Okay? All right, let's give it a shot. We're doing division, so let's go ahead and recognize that we have this bottom monomial squared. So it would be in your interest to rewrite the question. 4 squared. Remember, the coefficients are being squared to the outside exponent, and then the variables are being multiplied. Okay? 4 is being squared, so you get 16. That's a 1, that's a 2. You're multiplying that, that's the power rule. 1 times 2 is 2, so that's x to the 2nd power. And that's a 1, and that's a 2, so that's 1 times 2 as well, so that's y to the 2nd power. Okay? And now we're going to reduce our fraction here. Do I have room? It's right over here. Reduce our fraction. 32 over 16 is 2. Let's do the x's, more on the top or more on the bottom? More on the top, so x goes on the top. The difference between 4 and 2 is 2. And more on the top or more on the bottom, y is going to top. And then it's 7 over 2, so what's the difference between 7 and 2? That is 5, okay? And nothing's on the bottom then, so there you go. 2x squared y to the 5th. Okay, 12a raised to the 0 power, b to the 3rd power, c to the 24th power, 3a to the 13th power, b raised to the negative 18 power, c to the 0 power. Okay, we're going to multiply this monomial times this monomial and follow the laws of exponents that we learned. The coefficients, 12 and 3, we're multiplying. Okay, that's 36. Let's do the a's. This is a raised to the 0 power, so that's just 1. And that's a to the 13th. So a to the 13th, and 1 is just a to the 13th. That's a raised to the 13th. Again, anything raised to the 0 power is 1. Okay, let's do the b's. All right, so that's multiplying. You are adding exponents, so 3 and a negative 18. That's negative 15. And now the c's. That's 24. That's c raised to the 0 power, so that's 1. So that stays the same as well. So c to the 24th. Well, that's nice, but can't have that negative exponent there, so we're going to put that on the bottom. So let's write 36a to the 13th. This goes down to make it positive, so that'd be b to the 15th, and that's fine, c to the 24th. That's at 13. Okay, 36a to the 13th power, c to the 24th power, over b to the 15th power. Okay, so that's 4. Let's do 5. Let's do 5. We're going to 10, guys. We're going to 10. All right, 36m raised to the negative 5th power, p to the 3rd power, v to the 18th power, over 3m raised to the negative 2nd power, p to the 10th, v to the negative 4th. Okay, we're doing division. That means we have to subtract our exponents, and let's do our coefficients first, which is 36 over 3. So we're just reducing that fraction, which is 12. Okay, let's do the m's. Where do we have more m's, top or bottom? And we have more m's on the bottom. If you prefer to flip these so that it's actually, this moves up, becoming m2, and that moves down, becoming m5, you can do that. And then after that, you can say, okay, fine, where's there more m's? On the bottom. And then what's the difference? The answer is 3. And now let's do the p's. We have 10 on the bottom, 3 on the top, so bottom wins, and the difference is 7. And then we have v to the 18th, which is clearly more than negative 4, so v is definitely on top. If you prefer to move this up here and just say that's fine, it's v to the 18th, and then make this positive, so then you can just say, let's just add those together. So that's 22. All right, so your final answer is 12v to the 22nd power over m raised to the 3rd power, p to the 7th power. X, y raised to the negative 9th, all of that raised to the 3rd power. Okay, x, y raised to the negative 9th, all of that raised to the 3rd power. We're definitely going to be using our power rule here. This shouldn't take too long. This is a 1, this is a 3, and the power rule says to multiply, so that's 1 times 3, which is 3. And this is a negative 9 times a 3, which is negative 27. And then we could not stop there because that's negative, so you could just push that on the bottom, which would make it x to the 3rd over y to the 27th. So x raised to the 24th power times x to the 8th power, which is raised to the 3rd power. All right, here we go. X to the 24th. And now this becomes 3 times 8, also 24. Okay, well, that becomes x to the add 48. Okay, your favorite, the rational exponent. Espérate. It's going to be fine. It's not going to be too extreme, okay? So just take a deep breath and then, follow through. It's not a big deal. Okay, 81 k to the 16th power, r to the 2nd power, raised to the half. We have a rational exponent. We have the monomials raised to a fraction. Yeah, fractional, rational. Okay. Well, this too represents, basically in this situation, square root. Okay, so the question is, what number times itself twice equals 81? Basically the square root of 81, which is 9. Okay, great, we got that far. Okay, well, let's deal with our exponents. Now, what do we do with exponents? When we have the power rule, because this is the power rule, that's right, you multiply them, so that's 16 times a half, which is k raised to the 8. Okay, basically it's half of 16. Multiply times a half, that's what you get. And then same thing with r, raised to a half. That's 2 times a half, which is 1. And that's it for that. That's not too bad when it comes to rational exponents. So we can start off there at least, okay? Here's your answer. Q raised to the 3rd raised to the negative 2 divided by q to the negative 12. That looks like fun, kind of. Okay, power rule. It says to multiply 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 over q to the negative 12. Well, there's one problem here. Exponents are negative, so let's go ahead and flip that around. We can have q to the 12 over q to the 6. That's fine. And then we can say, what's the difference between the 12 and the 6? Since we're dividing, we subtract, and so we have q to the 6. That was painless, okay? Stuff is fun. Admit it. You like it. All right. Anyway, next one. 16. A raised to the 4th. B to the 8th. C raised to the negative 6. Divided by 12. A raised to the negative 2. B squared. C to the negative 3. Okay? Listo. We're dividing. The coefficients, what do we do with them? Well, we do what we normally would do with coefficients when they're being divided. Okay? Reduce the fraction here in this case. So what number can we reduce by for 16 and 12? How about 4? So that's 4 times 16. 4 times 4 is 16. And what times 4 is 12? 3. So here's our fraction, 4 over 3. Let's do the A's. Where's the more A's, top or bottom? Definitely the top. That's A. And what's the difference between 4 and negative 2? 6. Okay, again, if you want to move this up and do it that way, you can. But basically, you're doing 4 minus negative 2, which is 6. All right, and let's do the B's. B, top or bottom? Top. Difference between 8 and 2? 6. And now the C's. Top or bottom? Where are the more? On the bottom. If you weren't sure about that, you want to flip it around, make your math easier, you could put C3, make them positive. C6, so we flip them to make them both positive. And now we can see there's definitely more C's on the bottom, and the difference is 3. Okay, so you got a couple options about how you can work that out there. Okay, so your final answer is 4a to the 6th power, b to the 6th power, over 3c to the 3rd power. I regret to inform you that that's the last one I'm doing, I think, right now. Okay, that we did 10 questions, and guess party's over. There's no school today, you know. No school. What had happened was it got too cold, so they froze the road. So there was no school. Who knew? So now I'm home alone. I wish I would have known. But at least I got math. And I got Google Class. And I'm sure you got questions about monomials, so hey, I'm glad you asked.